Let's talk here for a minute. Aristotle once said, this isn't the exact quote, but a life lived by your virtues is life well enough lived. That's not exactly the quote, but the idea is that some people call them values, core beliefs. Core beliefs is slightly different. By your values, right? By what you value, by how you think people and yourself, being a person, should live their life. If you live by those, that is a life well enough lived. And if you start living your life by your values, you'll start noticing that your values might change, right? It's not... You have values right now. I have values right now. And I had values that I used to live by, right? I had values that I used to live by, and when I started living by them, I realized they weren't entirely accurate. And so I'd keep going, I'd keep living by those values, and eventually I would get to this point where there would be this moment when I realized why that value didn't work for me anymore, or what part of it needed to change. And if I went back on it, if I realized that but didn't change, bad things would happen. And that's because I was no longer living by my values. I was living by my old values. I would go back to living by my old values. What's really interesting is that idea of values, right? We study it a lot. We study values a lot, personality traits, and anyone in psychology, at least anyone that should be in psychology, knows, right? Recently, there's been this realization that a lot of the studies that were done, that have been being done, don't say anything. To put it plainly, they don't. Because they don't represent everyone. And they were done on weird. So Western educated, industrialized, rich, democratic populations. College students. We all know in the United States, and most other countries, most research is done at universities. You know who doesn't get to go to universities? Poor people. People in need. People stuck in cycles of poverty. People stuck in housing issues. People stuck in trouble. People in trouble, right? And there are programs, right? There are some programs that have been helping get more of that community into colleges. But the thing is, right, you take a random sample of a college campus, educated, industrialized, rich, democratic people, is what most of this research has been done on, right? That isn't everyone. That doesn't represent humanity. Humanity is much faster than that. Okay? There's so much more. And that research we're doing, right, that was done on these weird populations, it doesn't tell us about the human condition. It doesn't. It tells us about the condition of weird populations, right? So we can look at that research and be like, okay, well, on average, right, white, educated, industrialized, rich, democratic people act in this way. But what we've been doing is generalizing that to humanity. And when you think about that, why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Because those people, they're in power. Those people are in power. So the world revolves around them. At least they think so, right? And I'm one of them. I am one of them, right? I'm white. I'm educated. I live in an industrialized society. I'm middle class, which compared to it's rich, right? It's more than I need to survive. It's more than anyone needs to survive. Where is that? Rich, democratic. Which, you know, I live in the United States. We're a democratic country. I am part of that population. But I'm not afraid to admit that. And I'm here to say that that isn't everyone. That isn't everyone. I don't have a reason to be ashamed of who I am. But I think the weird population as a whole should be ashamed of how we belittle other groups, other people, other communities. And this is a cliche and it sucks, right? We're all people. We're all individuals, right? We are all individuals. More than where we come from, more than what we've done, more than what we've accomplished, more than how people perceive us, more than how we perceive ourselves, right? We are more than all of that, every single one of us. We are more than that. And people need to start acting like it.